It's Saturday morning, time to talk technology, and our tech expert, Luis Alvarez, is back with us here on Power Talk Radio. Luis, welcome home from Japan.
Thank you, my friend. It was a fabulous trip. Ronnie and I had the trip of a lifetime, actually. It's something that was on our bucket list to go to Japan and explore everything from the street lights and mayhem of Tokyo to the shrines and temples of Kyoto and everything in between, and it did not disappoint.
Very cool. How was the food?
Oh, the food was incredible. The nice thing about going to Japan or at this point is that the dollar is pretty strong against the Japanese yen, so you can eat pretty well for not that much. There were 6 of us that were going together, and it was not unusual for us to have a meal, whether it was lunch or dinner, with beers or sake, and walk away with under $100 for 6 people.
Wow.
So it was pretty great, but the food was incredible. I never really thought about eating sushi for breakfast, but it's a thing in Japan, and it's actually a good thing. I had my little sashimi and rolls and miso soup every morning, and it was kind of a fun thing.
Wow. Now, did you have any of that famous Japanese beef while you were there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So Wagyu beef is the kind of beef that's grown in Japan. They're famous for it. And more often than not, we think of Kobe beef as the one that is the signature Wagyu. But as it turns out, Kobe is an area, a prefecture in Japan, and they are known for exporting their beef. But every state or every county has their own version of it. So there's Hida, there's Kyoto. They all have it, and we tasted it all, and it was all delicious.
Oh, that's excellent. Now, how's the chicken over there? Do they eat chicken in Japan much?
They do. They have a lot of chicken, and it's delicious. The beef is their big thing, and fish. A lot of fish. In fact, we went to the world-famous tuna auction that they do in Tokyo. Got up early because you have to be there at 5:30 a.m., and they do this 7 days a week, and there are literally hundreds of these big tunas that they auction off every morning. And, restaurants, distributors, all sorts of different organizations are there bidding on these giant tunas that they have caught out in the wild and flash frozen on ships and then sell every morning in Japan.
Wow, for thousands of dollars a pound.
Thousands of dollars, yeah.
That's amazing.
We didn't get close enough to see them actually auction them off, but we were watching them from the observation deck, and it looked like Fast and Furious.
Well, and they don't make tuna fish out of this.
No.
They'll grind it up, make tuna fish out of that. No, you wouldn't do that. Wow. And
Absolutely.
And pork isn't really a thing in Japan. That's more of a Chinese thing, isn't it?
Yeah, there wasn't much pork. We did go to a Korean barbecue place, and they did have pork on the menu, and it was delicious. But yeah, typically in Japan, you don't see a lot of pork products.
Well, that sounds like a really interesting trip, and maybe one that people want to think about having that on their bucket list.
It's an easy trip to make, and right now, like I said, the dollar's pretty strong, so you're going to save some pennies if you go.
All righty. By the way, coming up on the Monday program, we're going to talk about Japanese technology, specifically starting at 8:30 Monday morning with Luis Alvarez. But Luis, right now, let's jump into the topic du jour, and that is Windows 10, which only has about 6 months left to live. And apparently, now it's not going to stop working in October of this year, but the word that we hear is that Microsoft will stop supporting it with updates and patches.
Yeah, that's really the big deal. Come October 14th of this year, Microsoft has drawn a line in the sand and said, look, as of this date, we're not going to invest any more in security patches and updates. And if you continue to use Windows 10, you're on your own when it comes to that. And that presents a challenge, especially for businesses that have to, if you have cyber insurance coverage, for example, if you have Windows 10 in your environment come October, chances are that if you have a breach or an incident, you're not going to be covered because the bad guys are out there chomping at the bit to deploy all sorts of tools that can exploit any vulnerabilities, known or unknown, on Windows 10. So it's really a risk that I would recommend businesses not take. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the vast majority of Windows PCs are still Windows 10. It was a very popular operating system, and a lot of people have enjoyed it and really don't see any reason to update it, which is one of the reasons that Microsoft, as a business decision, in addition to a support decision, made the end of life a thing because they want people to migrate to Windows 11, which they're going to support indefinitely. So if you're still running Windows 10 and you have a PC that can be upgraded to 11, if it has the hardware capability to do that, I would recommend you do it. If not, consider investing in replacement of those PCs, because right now, given the fickle nature of the tariff situation, we've been spared tariffs on computer products and electronics for right now, but they could be put on at any minute and make those PC purchases much more expensive, because about 90% of all electronics, including PCs and laptops, come from China.
So I have a question for you, and I think a lot of people would share the same query. So a lot of us, we have these shields on our computers, like Avast or Malwarebytes or Symantec, any of those types of things. So Microsoft stopped supporting Windows 10, but why don't those programs protect us from something bad happening? I thought that's why we're paying the money for them.
Yeah, they do, to the extent that they can catch viruses that the operating system doesn't catch. But the problem is that vulnerabilities, things that can be exploited at the operating system level, really cannot be protected against other than by the operating system itself. So if somebody, for example, has a vulnerability where they can be, somebody can get into the kernel, which is the core of the operating system, and manipulate it, an antivirus or anti-malware product, unless it's a very sophisticated one, probably won't catch that sort of thing. Now, I'm sure that a lot of the anti-malware companies that provide those sorts of products are going to try to, as much as they can, to protect against all sorts of exploits, regardless of whether they're vulnerabilities or not. But as long as the operating system continues to age and patches and updates aren't provided, it's going to be kind of a losing battle over time.
Okay, so that's why we need to think about doing that then to upgrading to Windows 11. And I was looking at my computer, and I'm going to have to buy a new box because I tried to upgrade to 11, or I did the test, and it said, sorry, you don't have the hardware that'll allow you to do this.
Yeah, and that is something that's available. If you just Google Windows 11 test, you'll go to the website that allows you to download the PC Health Check app from Microsoft, and it will check your PC to see if it's capable of running Windows 11. And if it is, it'll direct you to where you can download it for free and install it for free.
Alrighty. Hey, before we finish up here, I did want to mention something that I ran across an ad a couple of weeks ago, and this is Apple supported. It's a car tracker from something called Charge Find Pro. It's a 2-in-1 car tracker and charger. So it looks like those typical little chargers that have the USB ports on one end, and it plugs into the 12-volt socket, the old cigarette lighter in your vehicle, and it actually has a tracking chip in it. So if someone stole your car, this thing it transmits a signal, and it will alert you to where your car has gone, provided that they don't pull the the adapter out of the cigarette lighter. But this is a new thing that is available to people.
Yeah, it uses it's fascinating because it uses the same technology that Apple uses in their AirTags, right? And these are those little devices that you can buy and put in your luggage or purses or whatever. And the way the technology works is it uses nearby iPhones to detect those AirTags. And this is using the same thing. It will be able to geolocate a stolen car if you go onto the AirTag site on Apple and say, hey, I'm looking for my car, here's the number, and it'll, if somebody has seen it or an iPhone has tracked it, you'll be able to find out where it is.
Well, Luis Alvarez has been our guest today, back from his trip from Japan here on Power Talk Radio, as we've been talking about technology on this Saturday morning. And of course, online, you'll find them at alvareztg.com. At AlvarezTG is their X handle, and Luis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-Team. That's 866-784-8326.
Yeah, looking ahead to Monday, we're going to talk about Japanese technology.
Yep, very fascinating, the things that I saw in Japan, and made me wonder, why can't we have nice things too?
All right, join us on Monday morning starting at 8:30 here on Power Talk Radio for more information on that. Luis, thanks so much, and have a great weekend and a very happy Easter to you and your family.
You too, my friend.